Do you know what is actually draining you every single day? Not your job, not your schedule, not the people around you. It is the weight of caring too much about what other people think. You wake up and your brain is already calculating, adjusting, wondering, will they approve? Will they judge me? Did I say the wrong thing? You are not living your life. You are managing your image. There is a man who never did that. Not once. His name is Thomas Shelby. Stay till the end, because this video will completely change how you see yourself. Let's be completely honest about what's happening to you. You didn't choose to need approval. You were conditioned into it. From the moment you were a child, you were handed a simple transaction: behave the right way, get love; disobey, get withdrawal; smile for the family photo, get warmth; show emotion at the wrong moment, get silence. And so your nervous system learned very early that the way to stay safe is to read the room and adjust accordingly. Fast forward 20 years, you're a grown adult sitting in a meeting and you have a brilliant idea. You know it's brilliant. Your gut knows it. Your logic confirms it. But before that idea leaves your mouth, you run a calculation in your head. Will this land well? Will they laugh? Will they think I'm arrogant? And in that 3-second calculation, you either soften the idea, dress it up in unnecessary apologies, or swallow it entirely. You just let the approval trap eat another piece of you. This is not weakness. This is wiring. You are wired by people who themselves were wired this way, and they by the people before them. The machine goes back generations, but the cost, and this is what nobody tells you, the cost is cumulative. Every time you edit yourself for external approval, you are sending your own mind a message. The message is, my judgment alone is not enough. My instincts need to be verified by others before I can act on them. And slowly, imperceptibly, you lose the ability to trust yourself at all. The approval hunger grows. The self-trust starves. You start needing validation for decisions that should take you 3 seconds. You overthink texts. You reread emails 11 times. You replay conversations in bed at 2 in the morning, analyzing what that person meant by their tone. This is where the trap lives. Not in big dramatic moments, but in the daily slow erosion of your own authority over your own life. Here is something that will disturb you if you sit with it long enough. The version of yourself you're trying to protect, the reputation, the image, the perception, doesn't actually exist. It is a hallucination. It is a story you believe other people are telling about you, inside their heads, constantly, with great detail and investment. And here is the reality. They are not. People are too busy managing their own hallucination of themselves to be constructing a detailed narrative about yours. You are living your life in a funhouse mirror. You are looking at a reflection of a reflection. What you think, they think about what you did. That is 3 layers removed from reality. And yet, you're making actual decisions, real decisions with real consequences based on that distorted image. You are shrinking your ambitions, abandoning your voice, betraying your own instincts, all to manage an image that exists primarily in your own mind. Thomas Shelby understood something that most people spend their entire lives refusing to accept. The opinion of any individual human being is simply data. It is not verdict. It is not truth. It is not final judgment. It is one person's limited, biased, incomplete reading of a situation filtered through all of their own fears and histories and insecurities. You have been treating opinions like they are Supreme Court rulings. They are not. They are noise. The sooner you demote them to noise, the sooner you can actually think clearly. When you stop looking at yourself through other people's eyes, something profound happens. You begin to see yourself clearly for the first time. Not the curated version, not the performed version, the actual version, and that actual version, and that actual version, unfiltered, uncurated, unoptimized for external consumption. That is the version that is capable of doing things that actually matter. The mirror has been lying to you. Put it down. Before you misunderstand where this is going, this is not a lecture on becoming a sociopath. This is not about deciding that you don't care about anything or anyone. There is a critical distinction that most people completely miss, and it is the entire hinge point of this conversation. The distinction is between standards and approval. Standards are internal. They are the code you set for yourself based on your own values, your own deliberate thinking, your own understanding of who you want to be and what you want to build. Standards are self-directed. They answer to you. You assess yourself against them honestly, and if you fall short, you correct. That process has nothing to do with what anyone else thinks. It is a private, ruthless, ongoing conversation between you and the person you see in the mirror every morning. Approval is external. It is the need to have someone outside yourself confirm that what you did was acceptable, good, correct, impressive. It is outsourcing the judgment function of your own mind to people who don't have full information, don't have full context, and are operating from their own biases. The moment you hand that function over, you are no longer running your own life. You are running a version of your life that has been approved for public consumption. Thomas Shelby held himself to standards that were, by most people's measures, impossibly high. He didn't cut corners on his thinking. He didn't take shortcuts that would compromise his control. He delivered on his commitments with a kind of ruthless precision, but he was completely indifferent to whether anyone else liked how he did it. He held the standard. He didn't seek the applause. That is the distinction you need to carve into your mind and never let blur. Hold the standard, drop the need for applause. The work is the work. The judgment is yours alone. So how do you actually rebuild this? Because it's one thing to intellectually understand that you need to stop seeking approval, and it is an entirely different thing to functionally change a behavior that has been running in the background of your mind since childhood. Here is the architecture of how this works in practice. First, you build your own criteria before the event, not after. Most people are reactive. They do something, and then they look to the outside world to find out if it was good. They are waiting for the verdict to tell them how to feel. You need to invert this entirely. Before you act, you decide. What does a successful outcome look like according to my own values? What would I need to have done to feel clean about this decision when I'm alone at night? You set the criteria. You define success. Then you act. Then you assess yourself against your own criteria, not against the reactions you observe in others. Second, you develop the practice of sitting with discomfort without reaching for external relief. When you do something and no one validates it, or worse, when someone criticizes it, there is an almost physical pull to seek reassurance. The approved version of you wants to immediately find someone who will tell you it was fine. You need to learn to sit in that discomfort without feeding it. The discomfort is simply your nervous system running its old program. You don't have to obey it. You can observe it, let it run, and do nothing. The need for approval only has power when you act on it. Third, you conduct honest post-mortems with yourself. Not to punish yourself, not to spiral, but to ask clearly, did I act in alignment with my own stated values? Did I hold the standard I set for myself? If yes, then external noise is simply that, noise. If no, you correct, not because someone is upset with you, but because you are accountable to your own code. This is what it means to be your own judge. You have jurisdiction, but you also have the responsibility to apply that jurisdiction with honesty, not with self-serving leniency. This is the architecture. It is not complicated, but it requires a level of self-honesty that most people are not willing to bring to the table, because self-honesty without external judgment means there is nowhere to hide. You need to understand what staying in the approval game is actually costing you, because the cost is not just discomfort. It is not just anxiety. The cost is your life, and I mean that in the most literal, non-dramatic sense possible. Every decision you make from a place of seeking approval rather than internal judgment is a decision that belongs to someone else. That career path you stayed on because it looked impressive to your parents, that belongs to them, not to you. That relationship you didn't leave because you didn't want people to think you failed, that choice belongs to other people's opinions, not to your judgment. That idea you never launched, that conversation you never had, that boundary you never set, every single one of those is a piece of your actual life that you handed over to the management of other people's perceptions. The man who lives for approval cannot be trusted, not by others and not by himself, because you never know what he actually believes. You never know what he would actually do if there were no audience. He is permanently contextual. He shifts based on who is watching. And the tragedy is not that other people can't trust him. The real tragedy is that he cannot trust himself. He has no fixed position. He has no North Star that doesn't move with the crowd. He is permanently at sea, permanently needing someone to point him towards shore. The person who is broken free of the approval mechanism, they are a different creature entirely. They can be alone and still be certain. They can be criticized and still be settled. They can fail publicly and still know exactly who they are and exactly what they stand for. That certainty is not arrogance. It is something far more rare and far more valuable. It is sovereignty. It is the condition of a person who has taken full ownership of the judgment function of their own life. That is what is at stake here. Not just feeling better. Your entire life here is what becoming your own absolute judge actually requires. And I want to be precise about the word absolute because it is doing real work here. Absolute does not mean infallible. Absolute does not mean infallible. Absolute means final. It means that the verdict that matters, the verdict that you operate from, is the one that comes from your own honest self-assessment. External opinions can inform you. They can provide data. They can offer perspective you hadn't considered, but they don't determine the verdict. You do. To make this shift, you need to do something that is surprisingly difficult for most people. You need to develop a clear, explicit personal code. Not a vague feeling of I try to be a good person, an actual specific code. What do you value? What lines will you not cross, regardless of what it costs you? What does integrity look like in the specific domain of your work, your relationships, your decisions? Thomas Shelby was a complex man, morally compromised in many ways, but he operated from a code. He knew exactly who he was, and exactly what he was doing, and exactly why. That clarity, whatever you think of the content, gave him a kind of internal authority that no external pressure could easily break. You need to build that same internal architecture. Because here is what happens when you have a clear code. When someone criticizes you, you don't panic. You have a reference point. You can simply ask, is what they're saying accurate according to my own code? If yes, take it seriously, adjust. If no, file it under noise and move forward. The code functions as your North Star. It doesn't move. Opinions move. Perceptions shift. The crowd changes its mind. Your code doesn't. That is what makes you stable in a world that will constantly try to destabilize you. Most people are waiting for some external authority to install that stability in them. The right mentor, the right relationship, the right validation, the right amount of success. That authority is not coming from the outside. It never was. The stability is built from the inside through the slow, unglamorous daily practice of deciding what you believe, holding to it, assessing yourself honestly, and letting the world's opinion be exactly what it is. Background noise on a frequency you no longer tune into. You need to know what this actually feels like when it starts working, because it does not feel like what you might imagine. It does not feel like arrogant. It does not feel like not caring about anything. It feels like quiet. The noise that used to come, the second guessing, what will they think, the rerunning of scenarios starts to fade, not immediately, but progressively. You start to notice that you can take a position in a conversation without bracing for impact. You can say something that you know some people will disagree with and feel, not defiant, not combative, but simply settled, because you are not saying it to impress them. You are saying it because it is what you actually believe, and what you actually believe has been thought about clearly by a mind you have learned to trust, your own. You start to notice that failure changes its texture. It still stings, but it stops feeling like a verdict on your worth, because you are no longer using external outcomes as the primary measure of your value. You have an internal measure, and the internal measure can process failure as information. What do I learn? What do I correct? Without it collapsing into shame. Shame lives in the gap between who you are and who they think you are. When you close that gap, when you are the same person, whether observed or unobserved, shame loses most of its grip on you. MBOs, I am no. This is one of the most significant shifts a human being can make. Not from them, not from the crowd, not from anyone whose name you won't remember in 10 years. Thomas Shelby didn't wait. He decided who he was, held to it without apology, and let the world react however it needed to react. That is the model, not the lifestyle, the mindset. Decide your code, hold your standard. Judge yourself by your own honest measure. and then move without explanation, without apology, without waiting for a single soul to tell you it's okay. It was always okay. You just had to stop asking.